Welcome, everyone. I'll do a short talk about myself. I'm Hans. I work for Coolblue. I'm a technical team lead. I've been in development for 16 years now. I'm 32. I started when I was 16, so halfway. And I like sports. And as you can see, I like watching them, not doing them. Although I play occasionally badminton. I like to watch American football. Any fans here? Yes. We got 3. Hockey, anyone? Ice hockey, not. Soccer? Yay, we're in the Netherlands. And for me, why I like sports is it's about teams. I'm a team lead. I like teams. I like to work in teams. And I like the team dynamics. So while watching sports, I thought, wait, we can learn a lot from this. And why can we do that? Well, sports teams are companies too. This is the logo of the Carolina Panthers. Anyone knows this team? Ah, yes. It has been bought for $2.275 billion by David Tapper. It's this amount of euros. And he owns, where is it? This amount of money. It's like crazy. Well, but he cannot afford a dysfunctional team because that would drop the value of his team. Yes, that was a team member tackling his own team member. So let me tell you a story about one of my teams. We started off with a complete new team. And they got a new lead, they got a new assignment, which was, let's build a new version of search. Why not always build new versions, right? And we were like, yes, we can finally do this. And yes, we are the A team, we're gonna do this. And a few weeks in, we thought, well, this is going pretty well. And we got this, we're legendary. And after the 3 weeks, I, as the new team lead, saw the dynamics change and the co-workers were colliding. No, we should do it this way. No, I want it to be done the other way. I don't want Elasticsearch. I want something different. But if you're using search, Elasticsearch might be a good idea. But we had a lot of arguments. And a few weeks later, we kind of felt like the movie, The Mad Team, right? Who saw the movie? Like, yeah. And I thought, as team lead, I'm not the only one. So I Googled, well, not exactly this, but I Googled group dynamics lifecycle. And I came to this, which is the Bruce Tuckman stages of group development. Anyone seen this before? Cool. It consists of 4 stages, which are forming, storming, norming, and performing. And we all want to be in the top right corner because performing, right? So let's talk about forming. The team just starts in its current form. Well, the first 3 weeks were my kind of forming. The team members get to know each other a bit. Who are you and what do you do in your private time? And did you work here before? What kind of knowledge do you have? And basically everyone is eager to learn. So when he starts a new project wants to code right away? Like, I want to use Elasticsearch, I want to get this cluster. Well, it's basically the forming stage. And it's a stage you need to get through because it's a cycle and we want to end up in the right top corner. So what we did at that point, when I actually learned about this, is we defined a goal. So we already had built a new search. Well, let's goal this big and not a nice small goal. And we defined rules with the team, guidelines. What are we going to use? Are we going to use Elasticsearch? Are we going to, which PSR standards, for example? Which tools? Are we going to test everything? Yes, we do. And we need to know, how do we make decisions? Because we had colliding coworkers. So we need to find out, how are we going to make sure that they will talk to each other and come to a decision. How does this team handle and give feedback? I think the giving part is even more important than the handle part, because if you don't give the feedback, there's no feedback to handle. So discuss with your team how to give feedback. Next stage, and this is probably the most dangerous one, and you will not always come out of this. Not all software development team gets out of this stage. You might break off the project, you might just, as we say in Dutch, voortkabbelen. In a storm, yes. So how do you know you're actually in that phase? Well, work has started. We're in the project for 3 weeks, and some team members are pushing boundaries. Should we actually use this piece of code, or should we actually use Elasticsearch? Why not everything from AWS? Maybe Azure Cloud is better. Conflicts arise between the working styles. Who likes to work with his headphones on? Cool. So all the other new members cannot, well, unless they pull the headphones off you or tap you on the shoulder. That's kind of hard for new members. So you need to get used to the working style. If I have my headphones on, leave me for an hour when I put them off, and then you can ask me questions. Team members get frustrated. They cannot pull off the headphones because they probably get a smack in the face. Don't touch my expensive stuff. They also undermine leadership in this stage. So yeah, you can say we're using this technology, but I don't care. I'm going to prove you I need AWS for this. And well, in general, this stage lowers the motivation. So the high motivation that you had in the first stage, like I want to code right away, this makes you not really happy at your work. And you will probably end up in this situation. One person in front of the boat yelling which direction the team needs to go, which is perfect for rowing because there's one line, but software developing is never one line. You need to discover the boundaries. So for rowing, Team Canada is perfectly fine, but for the software development, it's not that great. So it's really hard to get through this stage. But first thing is always acceptance. So accept that this is part of the process. As a team lead, coach your team and bring them together. Try to open up their minds, not even technically, but just try to bring them together to understand each other. Why is that person actually wearing his headphones? Why are we choosing for Elasticsearch? Make sure everyone shares their perspective. And as the conflicts arise, the team will find out itself how they will handle it, unless they're saying outside 4 o'clock. That's not a way to handle conflicts. Well, it is, but not really healthy. So yeah, the team will find that out themselves. Give each other feedback, also on how you handled the conflict, for example. And as a team lead, share the leadership. I cannot know everything. And probably you're too busy already managing every puppet in the, every person, not puppet, in the team. Sorry, team. In the team, you cannot do everything at once. So share a bit of the leadership. Why should we go to AWS? Let them find it out. And, well, hopefully tell you why not. Or something different. There are some exercises you could do. The one who's not doing retrospectives. Ooh, only one, that's good. I have a really powerful exercise. I found it online, which is the way of working exercise. It's just a big canvas, A3, you print it out and talk about those topics with the team. It sounds really corporate, but while talking, you can write it down, put it on the wall at your team, and this is the values that we adhere. We talked about how to handle conflicts, and this is what we said, how we would handle them. That's all right down on the paper. You can get this link from the website I'll share later. And, well, the best conflict resolvers have some drinks together, right? So if you like alcohol, you can use alcohol. Otherwise, drink a Coke or water. Create artifacts of the things you decide. So the way of working is a great artifact, but also your retrospective. What are we going to improve the next 2 weeks? It's a great artifact to save because you can measure process. There's one exercise you can do right now with your team, if your team is here, and which is the in-space exercise. And that's walk into a room with one person, find your colleague and tell, the thing I appreciate about our working together is, the thing I find difficult is, and the thing to cooperate even better, this is what I need from you. Next to that, also explain what you are going to do, because it's never a one-way street. You can do that right now, after the presentation. Then, the norming stage. The norming stage is all about forming an identity with your team. The team reaches a level of consensus. We found out in the storming phase what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So, well, now we know. There's clarity about the individual roles. You are the database expert, that's fine. You are Elasticsearch expert. You can do something on testing, that's nice. And the team has formed a rule set of norms. So these are the standards we adhere. This is how we do pull request checking, stuff like that. The team develops its own identity. I had one team member, and I think he's in a different talk, who was really hesitant in the showing that he could solve a Rubik's Cube. Who can solve a Rubik's Cube? Who can do that under a minute? My colleague can do that under a minute. He was really hesitant for obvious reasons. But once he showed that he could actually do it, we decided all to buy a Rubik's Cube, and now we can all solve it. And now we're kind of the team that solves Rubik's Cubes. You bring your unsolved one, and you get definitely solved out of it. That's a form of identity, but you can also have the identity of, well, if you have trouble with your database performance, go to that team. That's an identity you want to form, because that's the identity that gives you energy. And yes, we do get energy off solving Rubik's Cubes. We have a big collection, like 4x4s, 5x5s, 7x7s. It's really weird. Some members even do competitions. So this is the stage we all want to be, performing. Yay, penguins. There's great energy in the team. The team roles become flexible, because we can, as backender, you can do a little bit of front end. Probably not the best that they could, but you can still do it. And you're allowed to be in the Elasticsearch cluster because they trust you. And the team knows how to work together and suddenly becomes autonomous. That would be the ideal performing stage. I wouldn't say I've been there a lot. Why? Because this is a cycle. Every time a thing changes in your team, the cycle restarts, but not in the same time frame. You might, in a few days, skip forming and storming and be at norming again. So let's say a new member joins the team. You start again at forming. You need to get to know the new member. So keep that in mind, it's a cycle. And now I've been yabbing about teams for 60 minutes, and you might think, what has this to do with sports? Who knows this guy? Amsterdam, yes. This is the trainer of was the trainer of Ajax, Frank de Boer. He gave the famous pass to Dennis Bergkamp. And after a successful career at Ajax, 4 times championship, he went to work at Milan. He got appointed at the 6th of September, and, well, 1st of November he got sacked because Milan is used to be at top 3. And they were at 12th position. His successor was also fired in May later. And, well, they rose 5 positions. Then, a year later, well, new try, right? He went to Crystal Palace. And he got a staggering 77 days of work there, and then later on was fired because they had, after 4 matches, it was disappointing results. To be honest, Crystal Palace should be at the bottom of the English league, not on top. So what can we learn from this? Except that there's the storming stage. Also in sports, you see it every time. Coaches get fired right away after they got appointed. And they always say it's disappointing results, but probably they are telling this to their management. But management says, yeah, I don't buy it. Because I have a lot of money. Louis van Gaal is available, so we'll get him. And then they think, wait, he cannot speak English. Cool. So much for the cycle. Now, next to it, selecting your team. Who always got picked last? I know what you're feeling. There's something called the NHL expansion draft. Last year, they thought, we don't have an ice rink in Las Vegas. Let's build one and we're going to have a team there, which is really weird, an ice rink in the desert of Nevada. Why? So they formed a team called the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And last night, this whole story kind of broke to shit, so I'm going to wait till the story's done. The Las Vegas Golden Knights got the opportunity to select 30 players from teams that were already existing. So in the NHL, they have high-performing teams. They got the opportunity to pick, well, from this team that won the cup last time, I want this player. There was one rule. All the other teams got to protect 8 players, saying, this is mine. So they got an expansion draft. They picked 30 players, got some more from high school. What do you think? Well, they actually got the first position right there, there, in the playoffs. They went through the final. And too bad, last night they lost the final. But they lost 4-1 from a team that never won the cup. So what can we learn? We don't need all these hotshots in one team. We can still pick the right person for the right job to do. That's what they did. They got, from my team, a really good goaltender. Fleury, indeed. I think he was still the best of the league, but he got sidetracked at the Penguins. He's rocking it out right there, right now, because he got highly motivated. He got selected for a different team where he can actually be the goaltender again. All the other goaltenders, they have, I think, about 4 or 5 goaltenders. They didn't play. He played the whole season. First of all, don't do a selection draft at your teams. That's never going to be good. Make sure your team is well-balanced and motivated. That's what they actually did. They left some players into the good teams because they would never be motivated. They're like the rock stars, which in ice hockey is a lot. So you have that team, and you want it to be reliable. So how do you do that? And why do you actually want to have a reliable team? Well, let's take a look at American football. Who watch it regularly? Or more than the Super Bowl? Oh, shit. I have a lot of explaining to do. At American football, you have 2 teams. And those teams have 2 sides, offensive and defensive. So this is the left side offense, right side defense. And the goal is to score a touchdown in the end zone, like this. Yay, Steelers. And it gets kind of rough because while you're doing that, they will try to get you to the ground. And that's not like, tap, you're it. They'll tackle you. So, as the hotshot, big money quarterback who make shitloads of money a year, you need the front line. You need the strong, big guys there. They're actually, who would like to stand in the middle of the field and get one of these running at you? Oh, no one. What a surprise. So, as the big hotshot, you will need your team up front to protect you. And there's a really good example of that. is this guy. This is Rob Gronkowski. He looks dangerous, right? He looks mean. And he plays the tight end position, which is right here. And his job is kind of two-sided. Either he blocks this guy, or he runs this way. Why? Because he can open up and runs that way and catches the ball. He does way more than that. There's way more to American football than just two routes. And the thing is, he also plays defense. Why? He's, I think, 2 meters wide, 2 meters high. It's really hard to run around. And if they throw high balls, he's probably the first one to catch it instead of the small, fast, quick guy. So what can we learn from this situation? A developer has multiple forms. No presentation is done without Dragon Ball Z, right? You have multiple forms. You, like I already said, as a backender, you can do front end. Probably not that best as they do it, but you can learn, right? That's how you be a reliable team member. Because if some person leaves some slack as a reliable team member, you need to pick it up. Either by telling that person he's leaving slack, not leave channel, but you need to tell him, wait, dude, what you're doing here is not good. Or you say, wait, I see you're busy. Let me do that for you. What can I do for you so you won't have this pile of work? That's a reliable team member. Next to that, your skill is not a language. Your skill is problem solving, not nailing the board to your head. It takes time to get to a new language, but the problem solving is a way more important skill to gain. Recently, like 2 years ago when we started a new project, I really was a hater of JavaScript. I still am a bit. But I learned Node.js and programmed it for 2 years. And I think after 3 to 4 months, I was up to speed-ish. I could do enough to save my colleagues out of these piles of work. I can still do. I still don't like it, but I think it makes me a reliable team member. Next, speak the same language. In American football, every time it's called, you're calling a play. So every new start, you will call a play. And it starts by the head coach picking a plan and over his headphones to the quarterback, which is right in the middle, saying something like this. 896 H shallow F curl. Wait, what? Well, in American football, and it's not in all teams, but in American football, they thought about something called the passing tree. So when he shouts out this route, the wide receivers are in the front. So the first 3 numbers are for the wide receivers. And they know their order. So when they come into the huddle and they hear this, wait, 8. I need to run the post route. The next one says, wait, fade 6, I need to go to the right. Then the halfback knows, depending on which place they're on the field, on the left side, right side, I need to run this route. And the fullback runs straight, comes back. Why? Because that's probably a good defensive move. That if everything is in the backfield, he can still throw to a short distance. And it looks like this. So what can we learn from this? Create a ubiquitous language. That means talk the same language as your domain experts. It, for example, avoids mental translation. If you're talking about, I want this adjusted on the page, that domain expert brings that to the refinement. You need to think, which page? Is that the object? Is that the thing in analytics? Is this? And so if you talk about ubiquitous language, you might say, on the search page, I want this filter to be changed. And then we grab this sheet, You're talking about this filter because that's what I'm talking about. This makes it really convenient for your new hire or new wide receiver to join in, and you're just passing him the sheet, learn that, bring that to the meeting, and you will notice. And even better, I switch the slides around, create an artifact out of this, because the next storming phase, when a new teamer joins, you can already say, this is what we are talking about. So you can remind yourself to it. So every, I think we call them landing page specialist right now at Coolblue. We give them this sheet. Actually, the first time we had it at our demo, we handed them out. Next, onboarding process. Who knows this guy? Cam Newton from Carolina Panthers. He's a hotshot quarterback from college. And he wasn't really used to hearing this. Because in college, what they do is put up the boards and say, this is the route we're going to run, which is really convenient for your opponent, but or do it in numbers. So they have a really, really small set of plays they will do. But the job of a quarterback is also to look in the, not only throwing the ball correctly, but also look in the backfield. Because if the coach said, well, let's throw the ball, and the backfield is packed with your opponent, it's probably not a good idea to throw the ball because it will get caught and you will have an interception. And for the people that do not know American football, that's not good. They will run your ball to their end zone and win. But also, as a quarterback, you need to watch the corners because these guys want to have you on the ground. So if they have a really aggressive stance, they are probably going to try to tackle you. If they have a more laid back, they're probably going to get to the backfield. But if they do not, then you will be taken to the ground. So Cam Newton got hired, signed for way too much millions. And what they said, well, you're not used to the play calling. You need to learn the playbook, but we will take away some of the other parts. So they said that their cornerbacks would look into the backfield. So on the sides they would say, well, this is not that good, so I'll signal my quarterback and he knows what to do. And in the middle, the guy in the middle that does a snap, which is, well, where the arrow starts, looks far downfield, seeing if there's any safeties there. And it's called safety because that's the opponent's exit plan. And if that all turns out well, they give the quarterback a signal, and then this marvelous thing happens. And here you see the backfield of the opponent moving. They're doing something, but we don't know why because we didn't anticipate on this. And they're doing a little dance in the backfield. It's like pretty. So what can we learn from this? I liked to do this, but don't do this on the first day the new developer comes in. Like, there's the pool. See you in a week, because the first days we used to have the situation. It's not that anymore. Getting your development environment up took about 1.5 days. That's like, well, good luck. I'll talk to you in 1.5 days, and then we can start to work. We looked into this, and now it's possible to do it in 10 minutes, and we're done. So come work for Coolblue. Sublimal meshing. Keep in mind the team cycle restarts. And because you made artifacts, you can show that to that person. So you can, this is our ubiquitous language. These are the last 4 to 5 retrospectives, our action points, not all the personal stuff that might have been shared. But this is how we work. Share that with that person instead of, yeah, you'll find out. Who has been at that job? Like, you find that out. Cool. Actually, when I joined Coolblue 5 years ago, sorry, I was the one finding out how to set up the development environment. So I felt like that for 2 weeks, but we changed it. Who watches biathlon? Come on! Who did it once or twice? It's like awesome. Biathlon consists out of skiing and shooting. That's basically it. But the shooting takes place over 50 meters and on a target this big. And you start off with a sprint race, everyone at the same time, let's go. And the end result of that is taken to the pursuit. So the one that was first starts first, the one that's second takes the delay of the time he was second. So if that's 20 seconds, he needs to wait for 20 seconds, and then you can start again. Every time you miss, you need to run a penalty loop of 150 meters. That's approximately 20 seconds of, if you're really good, 20 seconds of skiing. Biathlon is about taking risks. Make a plan. It's not really a team sport, so you can hold that to me. Make a plan up front. There's no communication in between. With your coach saying, this is what we're going to do in these situations. And a good story about taking risk is, who watched the Olympics in March? This is the France biathlon team, and they basically have one really good player, and that is Martin Fourcade, that guy. And the rest is, it's not bad because they were in the Olympics, but they probably wouldn't, if they would do it individually, they won't earn a medal. And they said, the first 3 are going to do a steady race. No risk. When you get at the shooting range, breathe in, breathe out. Make sure you get the shots and not taking high risk, high breathing, tick, 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 tick. Oh, I missed 4. 4 times the penalty loop. That's not really good for your team. So, and now I hope the movie will start. Not yet? Okay. What they did is that the first 3 will do a steady race, and then Martin will take all the risk, because we're only here for the gold. We're not here for the bronze medal. That would disappoint us, which is kind of weird if you have that kind of team composition. So what you will see is a movie. Germany comes in first at the 3rd round, and then they put in their joker. And now it should start, yes. So here it is. Germany is first, Italy second, and France comes in 3rd. And here you see that they're shooting, and he is shooting. He's gone shooting steadily, but in the next round, I would hope that it's. You will see Germany takes too many risks, misses 4 times, and France is done. Which, of course, has a bit of luck, but it's about. It's about taking educated guess on start, because when you take risks, cutting corners, technical debt comes. There's a really good Facebook page called Elephant Paths with all these kind of pictures. It's really awesome. Like people cut off like 10 meters. It's like the best. Take time to decide which approach you will take. So up front, when you say, maybe even before your refinement or in your refinement, say, okay, so how can we do this? And I often see myself in a kind of a debate with my PO. Who has that? We need to get, no, the solution needs to be faster because it's going to deliver millions of money to us, and our boss wants a new Porsche or dinosaur in our matter. So what we learned is that we should agree with the PO that we have debt and that we need to talk to him. When are we going to fix this? When are we going to redo this debt? There's also a third option, not doing the debt, fixing the debt at all, but is that part of the reliable team? Because in this part, the PO is part of the team. He is the owner of this product. So if all the developers are telling the owner of the product, well, dude, what we just programmed, that sucks, and it's not going to work out for you, I don't think that guy wants to own that product, or I would hope not. And you can get better at this by playing a technical depth game. A lot of them require Lego. Not sure if you like Lego, I think so. On the website I'll share later, there's a lot of games you can play. Some you need to subscribe to get the rules, but it's definitely worth it. Who's not having fun at his job? And I'm not saying I like the way I program at my job. Who's not having fun? Cool. The best advice I could give you today is quit your job if you're not having fun. No drinks, no Rubik's Cubes, no fun and games. Well, that's basically what the NHL said. The only way of celebrating a touchdown was throw the ball on the ground or do a small dance all by yourself. If you would do anything more extensive than that, you would get a penalty, which means the next kickoff would take 20 yards off. So they said, I'm getting hard hit on the field. I want to celebrate when we have a point. That's good for the team morale. It will affect the game. Also, the penalty will affect the game. So let me tell you a story about this guy. Juju Smith-Schuster, he was, I think, a third-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. So which means he got from college. He quit a year early to play American football, which also means he didn't have a driver's license. So he had to come to the training field by bike, which is really weird, right? For these, he makes probably 2 or 3 million a year. So what do you think? How Dutch? His bike got stolen. So let's say you're a hot shot, upcoming good wide receiver, and you have one of your first really nice touchdowns. I'll show you in a minute. How do you want to celebrate this? So here you get your really awesome touchdown. No spoilers. They cannot get him. Like, yes. So how do you celebrate? Well, you lock up the training bike next to the field. That's how you celebrate this. This was last year allowed by the NFL. And you had all sorts of weird celebrations. They were forming up like bowling pins and just rolling the ball, and they all fell down. Really weird. Fun story, at the previous stage, Antonio Brown, also from the Steelers, once ran into the goalpost, and he got a fine of $6,000, which for them is like pocket money, and for us not really, because he could have moved the pole. The thing is like 5 meters in concrete. He could have moved the pole. That's how shitty the rule sets are. So my message to you is have fun at your job. Walk the extra mile for your team members, because that will create a stronger bond. Celebrate your wins. Enjoy drinks together. It might not be beer if you don't like it. So recap. Accept the storming stage. Form a well-balanced and motivated team. Make sure it's reliable. Also, make sure you are speaking the same language as your domain experts. Take a look at your onboarding process and agree on that. Have fun. Also tonight on the board games. Prove your luck. Everything that I just said, I'll link you to the website. Go to dpc.hansdubois.nl. You will find it there. Next to that, I would really like if you rate my talk, so I could give it at more places than just PHP conferences. Next, I already mentioned it, we're hiring. Questions? And now, no. Again, I had a movie of all the celebrations. Let's see if it does. Nope. Aww. Then we're gonna do it this way. So, questions? None? Cool, thank you.